How many hours do you and your team spend each week manually entering data into various software systems? How would your business change for the better if data flowed seamlessly between your systems, allowing your team to focus on higher value work? I'm Rob Carrington, and in this episode I'm going to tell you how you can use a tool called Zapier to free yourself from manual data entry without having to write a single line of computer code. But before I talk about how Zapier works, I want to talk about why Zapier was created and how much harder this problem would be if tools like Zapier didn't exist. There has never been a better time to build software automation. More and more software is moving to the cloud, and APIs make it possible to build seamless connections between the various tools that you use. This all sounds great, right? It is, but there's one major issue. In order to write software automation programs, you need to become proficient in at least one programming language, you need to understand the nuances of servers and networking, and you need to spend time learning the design of each API that you want to work with. It takes years to master these skills, so how is someone who is new to this supposed to get started? Enter Zapier. How can you democratize access to automation when automation requires substantial software development knowledge and skill? Zapier cracked the code by solving three key problems. First, with Zapier, you don't need to learn how to write computer code to create automations. Zapier has a no-code logic engine that allows users to build complex automations with composable logic blocks. You can trigger your automation with events and perform a series of actions based on conditions that you define. Second, Zapier removes the need to understand complex server and network configurations in order to run your automation programs. Even for a seasoned software developer, writing an automation program is only half the battle. They also need to figure out how to host that automation program in a robust and reliable way. Hosting consists of figuring out where the program will be installed, who will be able to access it, how it will recover from outages, among other things. To do this well requires years of experience. Zapier provides hosting as a service, so users don't need to worry about any of this. Third, Zapier makes it easy to understand the capabilities of an API. Zapier has integrations with thousands of applications. Those integrations are published by the software vendors who actually make those applications. Instead of combing through the API docs, you can look at the integration's triggers and actions to see what the API is capable of. Zapier makes automation accessible by removing the complexity of creating and hosting software automations and allows you to focus on the most important part, solving your own unique business challenges. To see how this works, let's build a simple automation that connects our email and Microsoft Outlook to Trello, a popular task management tool. The easiest way to start is with Zapier's AI Automation Builder. I'm going to give it the following prompt. When I get a new email in Outlook, create a card in Trello. Zapier will take that prompt and build out the basic structure of the automation, which they call a zap. The trigger was automatically populated as new email. You can choose from a variety of other triggers, but we'll stick with this one. Next, let's add a filter. Let's assume that we only want to create a new task in Trello if the subject line contains a specific word, like test. You can also combine multiple simple filter conditions to create more complex filters. Finally, let's tell the Zap how we want the resulting task in Trello to look. For the purposes of this example, let's set the name of the task to be the email subject line and the body of the task to be the email sender's name. Now let's check what it looks like when we push an email through to Trello. As you can see, a new task was created with the appropriate name and body. Once this Zap is activated, every email that I get that has the word test in the subject line will trigger a new task to be created in Trello. This is a very simple example of what you can do with Zapier, but hopefully it illustrates the point that Zapier makes creating automations very easy. You can choose the triggers, filters, and actions for your automations with just a few clicks, and you don't have to know anything about programming languages or hosting software. I encourage you to try this out for yourself. Zapier has a free tier, and it integrates with many apps that are also free to use, like Trello. It won't cost you anything to start experimenting, and you can build powerful automations in just a few minutes. We've seen how Zapier makes it possible to automate the flow of data between thousands of different systems, all without having to write a single line of code. But what concrete steps can you take to unlock the power of automation in your shop's front office? The first step is to create a list of the tasks that your front office team performs. Open up your favorite notes app or spreadsheet tool and take 5 minutes to brainstorm as many processes as you can think of. This list doesn't have to be exhaustive. The purpose of this exercise is just to get the creative juices flowing. These could be things like RFQ intake, getting quotes from vendors for materials and outside services, updating opportunities in your CRM when a quote is sent or an order is won, etc. For each process, ask the following questions. Who performs this task? How are they notified that the task needs to be performed? Which software systems are involved in this task? Are there any manual steps to enter data or move files between systems? And how much of a pain in the neck is this task? The next step is to identify candidates for automation with Zapier. Look for processes that involve at least 2 different software systems, especially those with a high pain in the neck factor. Google Zapier app list to get a searchable database of all the apps that Zapier supports. Pick one of the processes that has the required Zapier connectors. Then, come up with a plan to work with whomever on your team owns that process to build a Zapier automation. Nobody in your organization will understand the unique challenges of a process better than the person who does it day in and day out. If you can automate the rote aspects of that process, that person can use their knowledge to fundamentally improve the process as a whole. If you don't end up with any processes that are a good candidate for Zapier, don't worry. Building out an inventory of processes is still a tremendously valuable exercise, and it's a prerequisite for process mapping, which is a subject I will cover in a future video. Zapier is an incredibly powerful tool that democratizes access to automation, but it isn't perfect and it's not the right tool for everyone. There are a few drawbacks to using Zapier. First, sometimes you need more control than Zapier can provide. The no-code approach favors ease of use over the ability to customize solutions. Second, Zapier can be expensive depending on how you use it. The pricing model is usage-based, and complicated automations can eat through your monthly quota very quickly. Third, Zapier only works with cloud-based software, so you can't use it to integrate with on-premises systems. Luckily, Zapier is just one example of a class of tools called iPaaS, or Integration Platform as a Service. All of these tools solve the 3 problems highlighted earlier in this video, each in their own way, and some of them work with on-prem software as well. In a future video, I will talk about the different kinds of iPaaS tools and why iPaaS is a good substitute for custom software development for any size shop. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.